Hello everyone, this is David Arkenstone. Welcome to Musical Tales from the Bamboo Room, which is what I call my studio. This season I'll discuss new recordings, old recordings, and details about how I do what I do. There'll be occasional guests to share their musical journeys that a lot of times intersect with mine. So here we go. I thought I would start this season off by talking about an album I did last year called Winterlüde, and a question that came in from my fan group, Arkenfans. Someone was wondering how I could do winter-themed music while living in California. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, I haven't always lived in California, and plus I'm sort of good at just imagining things. And so I try to put that into music whenever I can. And that song we just heard a little of was called Warm Lights Flicker Across the Lake. And that was inspired by a trip I took with my wife to Switzerland, where we stayed in a house on Lake Zurich. And one night it was freezing cold and it was snowing, and I went outside and there were all these twinkling lights across the lake. It was very magical. And this house happened to have a piano in it, so I went in and just sketched out some melodies and ended up with that song. The first single from this album was called The Icy Brook Finds Its Way. And I just wanted to do something that had some energy and forward momentum. And that's how this came about. This is a good time to mention Carlyn Kessler, a wonderful cellist I know. She brought such soulful energy and sweetness to a bunch of these tracks, and I just want to thank her for that. She's just very intuitive and really brought something special to the tracks she played on. I've had some magical winter experiences for sure, and one of them is when the snow is falling, very light snow, could be heavy snow, but it's just silent. And you look up and it just kind of hits your face and it's very magical. And that's how this song came about. Kisses from the Falling Snow. It's kind of on the nose. The next single from the album was Darkening Skies, which I love storms and I love doing music that evoke storms for some reason. Probably because there aren't so many where I live. I just like trying to illustrate that through music. And this is a track that we've had great success playing in concert. People seem to really love it. When I was young, I lived west of Chicago, and my brother and I used to go to this woods that was several blocks away and just hang out there and play and do whatever you do in the woods. And so this song was inspired by that. It's called Little Mysteries in the Snowy Woods. I can just imagine playing in the woods with the snow and the little sticks and making little forts and having snowball fights. It's a nice memory. Also, I've spent a lot of time in Yosemite and Lake Tahoe and Switzerland, as I mentioned, and even a couple trips to Iceland. And we recently did some winter concert tours in Colorado, which were very inspirational. So even though there's no snow where I live, I can go find it. One of my favorites on the album is a song we just heard a little bit of, The Return of Jack Frost. It's fun using different textures and instruments to try to create sort of a vibe. And I have a lot of fun exploring that when I get an idea for a song. And sometimes it leads to an idea for a song, just experimenting with sound. It's a fun occupation. The song Surrounded by Silence is another song inspired by that moment when you're out in the snow. It could be snowing, but it doesn't have to be. If it's snowing, it helps because it's even quieter. That feeling of just this silence. You can't hear roads, you can't hear birds. It's just very, very quiet, and you're outside in the wide world, and it's very cool. Another cool thing about this album is that I was able to make an LP, and a lot of people have gotten that, and it's kind of fun to have that old traditional format in your hands again. You know, you have decent size artwork, you can do fun things with the disc. It's just a neat thing. The next song, The White Cathedrals, always reminds me of when I'm out in the forest in the winter, and right after it snows, the trees are just laden with snow. It's just an amazing scene with all these trees just kind of connected, and that's where that song came from. I tied it all up with a song called Whispers of the Winter Wind, which I felt was a good closing song. It's kind of moody, but it's kind of spacious at the same time. You know, it's hard to talk about music sometimes. You just have to hear it. You know, it's hard to describe it to somebody. But I think overall this album was very on the impressionistic side, where I took a subject that I wanted to do music for a long time and just kind of immersed myself in the memories and the feelings I get from winter. And this is how it came out. So moody. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thanks so much for coming along as I tried to illustrate my winter journey. I appreciate the questions people send in and the interest in my music. It's really a blessing. And of course, you can find me on the web at davidarkenstone.com and Arkenfans on Facebook. Thanks for listening. Take care.